From now on, that's what I'm coming into right there. That is some theme. That's what I've been missing in Treehouse. I've been missing some theme music, you know. Except we need something with a little more bass, you know, like just boom, boom, boom. Was that pretty good? That's it right there.
For those of you that think that gospel music has gone too far, you think we've gotten too radical with our message. Well, I got news for you. You ain't heard nothing yet. And if you don't know,
you know, wait. Mr. Darren, it kind of felt like I was in a parade. And like I was the star of the parade. I mean, that felt really good. That felt really good. How many of you have ever been to a parade? Have you been to a parade? Let me ask you this. At parades, are there like lots of colors and sounds and costumes? Or is it just like a line of people just doing this? Look at this picture up here. This picture, do we know what city that is, Mr. Darren?
It's the Giants, so it's Detroit.
That is in Detroit. Detroit's a big city. Look at all the confetti coming down. And this is a parade where one of the sports teams in Detroit, believe it or not, at some point in the past, won a championship. They call this a ticker tape parade. Back a long, long time ago, they used to have these long strings of paper. And people up in the tall buildings, they would throw it down. And they're just like, go guys, y'all did it. You won the championship, it's awesome. And the players come in, sometimes they're in convertibles, like Corvettes or like big Hummers, they're riding on top. And they're like, yo, you know, they're real bad and everything. That's a ticker tape parade, that's pretty cool. What about like our president? Look at this right here. Our president is somewhere in that parade. Now, I don't know if it's President Obama or if it was President Bush before him, or I'm not sure which president it was, but when our president, is he pretty important? Yeah, when he travels, he doesn't travel by himself. Look at all those cars, and then there's motorcyclists around, and look at all the people. That's a pretty big show, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot going on, because your president's a pretty important guy. I want to talk to y'all about a parade this morning. I want to talk to y'all about a parade for the most important ruler of all. Do I still have a tail? It's like I have a tail. Oh my goodness. I know it is sometimes. Pom-poms. When y'all get to high school, a lot of times, like when one of the sports teams comes in, like football team or basketball, the cheerleaders will be cheering and going crazy and waiting for. You know what? The parade that I want to talk to y'all about, there was no limousine. There was probably no confetti. There certainly weren't any huge, tall skyscrapers. Now, there were people there because someone important was coming into town. But there were no Hummers. There were no floats. There were no convertible Corvettes. There were no vendors selling like battery-operated things with lights that flash and quit working as soon as you get home. No. But it was a parade for the most important king ever. More important than our president? Yep. More important than the World Series champions? Yep. This was a parade for the most important ruler ever. But it didn't look like that. Well, what did it look like? Let me tell you something cool. Remember our point for today? God always does what? What he says he'll do. I want to read something to you from God's word. And we talked before, God always does what he says he's going to do. And God always tells the truth. I want you to listen. This is from the book Zephaniah, which sounds kind of funny to say. Oh, excuse me, Zechariah. See? I'm already confused. Zechariah chapter 9. Listen to what was said there. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. In other words, it's telling people who love God and believe God, get fired up. Shout, get excited. Listen. Behold, your king is coming. He is just and has salvation. Listen, he is, you've gotten everyone pumped up, you're ready, and then here, listen, he is riding on a donkey. What? What? No Hummer? No float? No presidential limousine? No, we know they didn't have cars back in the Bible time, but you know what they did have? They had big stallions, big war horses. They would even dress their horses up that they rode into battle with all kinds of, streamers or gold plated. Important people like Alexander the Great or the Roman emperors or Caesar. All these people, when they came in, they rode on the very largest, most impressive horses. But listen to what it says. It says, your king is coming to you riding on a donkey. What? A donkey? Now you might think, well, that's pretty cool. At least they said it right. But do you know that this verse was written hundreds of years before Jesus ever came to Jerusalem in the parade? In other words, here's what God was saying. People who love me get fired up. People who love me get excited because one day your king is going to come to Jerusalem in a parade, riding on a donkey. He knew that for years and years. And listen, remind me, God does. So listen to this. This is from the book of Luke. This is when Jesus is coming in. Listen to what Jesus says. He's getting ready to go into Jerusalem. He says this. As he approached Bethany and the hill called the Mount of Olives, he sent two of his disciples saying to them, go to a village, and as you enter it, you're going to find a donkey tied there. A colt, a donkey, just tied. And he said, untie it and bring it to me. Whoa! Shoplifting? Is this like ancient carjacking? Is that what's going on? No, because Jesus gives them instructions. He says, if anyone asks you what you're doing, listen, tell them this. The Lord needs it. In other words, Jesus was getting ready to come into Jerusalem. He knew it was going to be this big parade. And he is the most important ruler ever. He could have said, get me the biggest horse there is. He could have said, I want chariots. I want chariot after chariot after chariot. I want to be in the middle chariot. I want chariots on all sides. I want people with like spears and impressive looking armor. I want megaphones. I want cheerleaders. Because I'm coming. That's not what he did. Because that's not who Jesus is. Jesus is due all praise that we can give him. But Jesus was very humble. Do you know that back in Jesus' times in the Bible, do you know who rode on donkeys? Servants. Unimportant people. And when Jesus chose to ride on that donkey, maybe he did that because even though he was a leader, he was also a servant. Because Jesus said, I came to serve. I came to seek and save the lost. You know what else is cool about donkeys? Do you know what donkeys, and actually donkeys are still used for this day. If you want to go fast, like if you're in a horse race, do you get on a donkey? No. What good are donkeys for? Mr. Dale, come on up here. Now, Miss Pam thinks I'm bringing him up here because I'm talking about donkeys. But that Miss Pam, that's not the reason. Come on, Miss Pam. Goodness gracious. You don't never know what Miss Pam's going to think. Donkeys are strong. In other words, you could take a donkey that would maybe, back here and legs, and a donkey that was smaller than Mr. Dale, and you know what? Mr. Dale could climb on that donkey, and that donkey could carry him. Donkeys are strong. I'm serious, they can. Mr. Dale says he'd have to carry the donkey. What do you think? Thank you, Mr. Dale. No, but hey, donkeys, you can take a lot of stuff and put it on the back of a donkey. Donkeys are really good at carrying burdens. Burdens are like loads. Do you know who carried burdens for us? Do you know who carried the burden of our sin? Do you know who carried the burden of our guilt and our punishment when he chose to die for us on the cross? Jesus. Jesus was like that donkey because he carried the weight of our burdens. That's what he did. I want you to look. Mr. Darren's got a video clip. Now, they didn't have video cameras back then, so this wasn't the real entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, but this is probably what it looked like. It certainly looked a lot more like this than it did the World Series parade or the presidential. Watch this and listen very carefully.